When you picture a mathematician, what do you see? Probably someone quiet, just scribbling a bunch of numbers on a chalkboard, right? But what if I told you about a mathematician who was really more of an artist? A man who didn't just solve problems, but completely changed the way we write, teach, and even think about mathematics. Well, let's talk about Paul Halmos.
Okay, take a look at this equation on your screen. What do you see? I mean, yeah, you probably see science, logic, maybe some computation. But is it art? And I know, that sounds like a strange question, but it gets right to the very heart of how Paul Halmos saw his entire life's work.
And there it is. That's his answer. For Halmos, this wasn't some clever little analogy. It was a core belief. He genuinely saw mathematics as a creative, an aesthetic pursuit. And that one single idea, it drove his entire career. And honestly, it's the key to understanding the huge impact he had on the field.
So how did this mathematical artist find his medium? Well, let's just say his journey wasn't exactly a straight line.
Right from the start, Halmos was brilliant, no question about it. Born in Budapest, he moves to the United States as a teenager and just blows everyone away academically. The guy was a prodigy, but, and this is the interesting part, his passion wasn't initially aimed at the field he would end up defining.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the failure. At just 19 years old, Halmos graduates with majors in both math and philosophy. He decides to go for his PhD in philosophy, but he fails his master's oral exams. Can you imagine? It must have felt like a total disaster, but that crushing blow turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to him. That failure pushed him back over to mathematics, where he got his PhD just 2 years later. It was the moment the artist finally found his true canvas.
You see, Halmos didn't just contribute new theorems. He actually improved the language of math itself. He added this touch of elegance and clarity that today we pretty much just take for granted. Think of it this way. Some writers create these amazing, epic novels, while other writers perfect the alphabet or invent new kinds of punctuation. Halmos? He did both. He made some really deep contributions to fields like operator theory, but his biggest, most widespread impact came from refining the very tools mathematicians use to communicate with each other every single day.
Have you ever seen if in a math or logic text? It's just a simple abbreviation for if and only if, and it saves a ton of time and space. Halmos didn't just use it, he actually claimed to have invented it. It seems like a small change, right? But it's a perfect example of his obsession with clarity and efficiency. It's like an artist finding a more elegant brushstroke.
And this right here, this is the perfect illustration of his impact. Before Halmos, mathematical proofs would end with the letters QED. Halmos comes along and introduces this simple black square. People call it a tombstone, or even better, a Halmos. It is a clean, universal way to say, I'm done, the argument is complete. It is literally the mathematical equivalent of a mic drop, and it's used all over the world today.
So this focus on clarity in his writing, it wasn't just about making things look pretty. It was central to his whole philosophy of doing math. For Halmos, math was an active, aggressive, and deeply creative thing to do.
He did not want students to be passive sponges, just soaking up information. Oh no. He saw learning mathematics as a full-contact sport, a real dialogue between the person learning and the subject itself.
And the whole idea is captured perfectly in this one quote. Don't just read it, fight it. This is his most famous piece of advice. He was begging students to wrestle with concepts, to challenge assumptions, to break things apart just to see how they worked. A sculptor doesn't just stare at a block of marble. They chip away at it, they feel its texture, they force it into a new shape. For Halmos, this wasn't just studying, this was the act of creation itself.
So when you add it all up, what's the sum total of this incredible career? Well, Halmos' legacy is just one of profound, lasting influence, not just on what mathematicians know, but on how they share that knowledge with each other and the world.
And while his own research was definitely significant, you could argue that his greatest gift, his real superpower, was his ability to explain things. He was a master expositor, someone who could take these incredibly abstract, difficult concepts and make them clear, engaging, and even beautiful through his writing and teaching.
And his dedication to communication is just so clear when you look at his accomplishments. His books are considered classics, famous for their crystal-clear style. He won major awards for his teaching. He even helped write the official rulebook on how to write mathematics clearly. He even funded a prize to encourage other people to write great books about math, because he wanted everyone, not just the experts, to see the art that he saw.
So, Halmos challenged all of us to see the artistry in a field that's so often viewed as cold and mechanical. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? What else do we mistakenly see as pure logic or science? Could it be computer programming, cooking, or even engineering? Where else is the artist just hiding in plain sight?